offset spending. That's what I believe is the case.
Yes.
So are you in favor of spending that down or against it? Because they're saying after this year, there won't be any money left?
When you say spending,
Well, I'm just.
we should maintain the $3 million level.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because the petition warrant article that you signed asked to take $1 million out of that account.
That's correct.
Okay.
There's going to be,
All right, just
but
making
there is
sure.
going to be more money going into that account. For those of you that don't understand how it works, if you look at this proposed budget this year, we're actually asking the taxpayers to appropriate more money than was budgeted in 2018. Even though in many cases we spent less than the appropriated amount in 2018. That money rolls over into the unassigned fund. So there will always be money going into the unassigned fund, assuming we don't underestimate our needs.
I believe there's a question over there, Sally.
Can I just follow up on my question? I asked about the percentage guidelines from the DRA. Can Chris answer that?
Off the top of my head, there's a range of, it's a percentage, I think it's like 8 to...
17.
It's 17, okay. 8 to 17.
That's
So
what I thought it
anywhere
was, yeah.
in there, and that's an account that's required by law.
I don't know how it came to be 12.5% here. I just assumed that was,
My recollection when I was selecting it was 17%, so that's why I asked the question.
it's been, since I've started to follow it, it's been 12.5%. I believe Gene would,
Yeah, the town,
Probably
the
be able to tell you that
select
better.
board voted on that a few years back. Keep the level at about 12.5%.
and I believe it's gonna be somewhere around $3 million, correct?
About
Gene?
$3.4 million.
My question is for Mr. McGee. You said that you've decided in the past year or so to run for selectman. And in that, I would think that you would take into consideration all of the issues facing our town, one of those being affordable housing. Yet just this evening, you mentioned the fact that you wouldn't know how to bring about affordable housing. How would you face that issue?
Well, that's correct. I don't know how to bring about affordable housing. I know how to build houses, and I know what land costs are in Moultonborough, and I know what construction costs are per square foot. And I'm not sure what the definition of affordable housing is right now. That I believe there are 9 houses listed at MLS for under $300,000, which unfortunately is probably not considered affordable housing. However, if you try and build anything, and we have a couple of builders here, at least one builder that I know of here, Tim, to build homes for under that amount is difficult to do unless you do multifamily dwellings, apartment buildings, condos, or whatever.
I guess my question is, are you against
No, not at all.
making multifamily?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm perfectly happy to do that. I just don't like taxpayer money doing it.
But
Quite
are the people
candidly.
that rent in paying taxes by their rent being increased?
What's the, I don't follow the
Well, I'm
question.
just saying, you're saying you don't want the taxpayers' monies to be increased to bring those in, but as you're bringing in the renters, their rent is an increased rent, so it's going to, our money is going to put back into the taxpayers' pockets who own those buildings. By bringing in more family, you're bringing in more tax dollars.
Well, we could have that discussion at some point if you, I'd be happy to talk to you about that at my barn if you'd like.
Can I
Yes,
respond
please.
to your question too? So, affordable housing is a big thing. One of the best ways to make housing more affordable is to alter the densities that it's allowed. Like how many houses can you build in a certain area? The way the town did that was they created the village district overlay, which this property is part of. And it allows for higher density of housing, the cluster development you're talking about, or nodal development. And that's one of the reasons I'm in favor of building the community center on the Taylor property. This is an 18-acre lot that we've heard builders say was a builder's paradise. Imagine what you could do for housing here. And I'm a little confused on his view on affordable housing because he wrote a letter to the editor last week that said he was against affordable housing. So,
think that-
I think that's
It was
exactly,
carried
no,
on.
that's,
No,
Yep,
no,
yep.
you, no,
That's-
I said,
okay.
I was against doing it on the, no.
okay, well, that's what I read. So I don't have a copy of it. Okay, well, whatever. So, that's why I'm in favor of building on the Taylor property, because we could address more community needs, housing, which is a major one, using this property.
Well, I respectfully disagree. If you read the letter, I suggest you read it again. It said, I'm against building affordable housing on the Lions Club site. I don't believe I said I was against building affordable housing at all. So, one more time, if you want to know my position, no, I do not believe that I want to see cluster housing, condos, apartment buildings on this site.
This is for Mr. McGee. When I was reading some of your letters and just trying to learn more about you, in March of 2018, you wrote a letter called Core Groups of Moultonborough Citizens Are Retired or Summer Residents. And I'd like to read from that, where this is in March. It says, let's accept the facts as they are today. We have a core group of full-time residents composed mainly of retirees and second home summer residents, and the service people and businesses who support them. There are 331 families who are full-time in this town. So how can the current full-time residents, families, and not even necessarily families, but other maybe middle-aged people whose children have gone on college age, how can they be overlooked or not part of your everyone when you're writing about the core group of retirees?
No, I think you may have missed the point of my letter. The point of my letter is, there seems to be an attempt to social engineer Moultonborough and magically somehow build facilities and buildings and community centers that are somehow magically going to get people to move here. And it's a laudable goal, if we can do it. But we already have a world-class school system. We already have a few affordable houses here. So if those are the things we need to do, why aren't the people flocking here? And I can tell you the answer to that. The answer is jobs. We're paying, put our kids through a world-class school system. They leave here, they go to top-notch schools, and they don't come back because they don't have the jobs here. And it's as simple as that. And it would be great if somebody could fly out to California and get Apple to build a factory here, and we'd have a lot more people living here. But, I mean, I can't say that won't ever happen, but if you look at the geography of the United States, we're at the end, where this is a relatively expensive place to live, and I just don't see that being the case. I think you're going to see, as we progress, you'll see more older people here and less younger people. When I went to the gym in Freiburg, I asked the director, rec director, what his demographics look like, because they just built a new facility, and he said, we're losing young people, and we're trying to keep them, but it's difficult because there just aren't any jobs. They've lost I believe he told me 4 or 5, and Nancy might remember this, 4 or 5 major employers, and there just aren't places for people to work. And I mean, here we have, and again, I still believe what I wrote in that letter, which is basically we have the second homeowners, we have the people of service, and we have a lot of retirees. And people, I wouldn't refer to this as people coming back here to die. I came back here to enjoy my life. I love living here. I always wanted to come back here. There's not a better place to be, in my opinion, than Moultonborough, New Hampshire. And I've been to just about every state in the United States and traveled extensively in Asia. And there's no place I'd rather be. And it would be great if we can get people to come back, and I hope that happens. It's a laudable effort, and I hope we can do it.
That's not what I asked. I asked how everybody is included. You're running for selectmen to represent everyone in town.
Who do you think I don't represent?
Is the families. You're writing about the
We
poor people.
We spend $14 million on a school system. We spend $500,000 on a rec department. And we spend $600,000 on a library, which has a children's program. Are they not? I mean, I don't know what else you'd like me to do for them. I mean, what else is there you would like me to do? Would
I'm
you,
just
would
asking
you,
on what you've put out there in public, and you're talking about representing the entire town, but most of your
well,
writing.
if you're a selectman, why wouldn't I represent them? I represent everybody. The decisions you make represent I'm not sure what you'd like me to tell you.
I'd just like you to tell me how you see the core group as the retirees and second homeowners, and we are families, and we are not even the young children families. I'm talking about the people that are a little bit older, not retirees, but have lived here maybe their whole life. I'm just pointing out that in your writings, it seems that it's not representing everyone.
Well, that's not the case.
Sal, we have a question over there.
Mr. McGee, I keep hearing that you visited the Freiburg, Maine area. When was the last time you walked through the schools and sat down with the rec department and saw their planning for the recreation department and their gym space and how it's worked out or canceled on a regular basis because we don't have enough space?
Actually, we're planning, I believe we're planning as a group ABC to do a gym, do a school walkthrough. I've never had the opportunity to do that. And
You've never stopped in Moultonborough and looked at Moultonborough's school system and the rec department and how they all work together?
That wasn't the question you asked.
no,
You asked about Freiburg.
Right, and well, that's all I keep hearing about is I've gone to Freiburg. I don't care about Freiburg, I care about Moultonborough. And if I was running for selectman, I would think that I would visit Moultonborough schools and Moultonborough Recreation Department and multiple library. Yes, we have a children's program. We have so many great spaces, but we have a lot of spaces that are getting canceled because we don't have enough space. Or kids are playing with multiple groups in one space because we've got to collide all the way through. There's a lot going on in Moultonborough that I don't think you're seeing. And I'd like you to visit and do a true walkthrough with the head of the rec department, talk to some parents and families in town, and really think about what's going on here and not in Freiburg.
that's a great idea. I thought going to Freiburg was a great idea also. You should also look at their facility. Their facility, just so you know.
I saw it. It's the most heinous building I've ever seen. And if you put that here, why would you want to walk into that building?
Well, if you walked into it, you'd know, because they spent 3 years doing the layout. We spent about 30 seconds doing the layout. They have an ability to cut their main gym and main basketball court in half and operate and have 2 basketball games at the same time. They actually consulted a sports authority who actually helped them lay the thing out.
So you're not against having a gym?
I never said I was against having a gym. What I said was, you need to do 2 things. I was a salesman my whole life. If you want a gym, you have to sell me that you need it. I'm not convinced that's the case. And I'm not saying it's not.
That's because you haven't walked through Moultonborough School.
Well, I walked through, well, that's not true. I've been to the SA.
Saturday
With all due respect, you're wrong. I've been through the academy. There's a beautiful gym there. Nobody gets to use it except Mr. Shipp and his friends on Sunday morning because I don't have a key to it. Nobody else does. So don't tell me I haven't been there.
I have never been there on Sunday morning,
Well,
ever in my life.
You have keys to the gym?
Oh, no, I don't.
That's not true.
That's not true. I do not have keys to the gym shop. I do not have keys to the gym. Don't sit up here and spout a bunch of malarkey.
Gentlemen, please,
You're a liar.
let's be respectful to each other. Gentlemen, thank you. Is there a question there, Sally? I think there's also another one there. We have one there.
So, Mr. McGee, I just have a question again, and it relates to the Freiburg facility, but earlier when you were talking about why you wanted to be selectman, you were talking about the character of the community and keeping the community and the character the way it has been. Would you say that the vision that you saw there in Freiburg fits within the vision and the character of this community?
Not necessarily. What I saw was a town that didn't have a lot of money, that did a lot of hard work to
I can respect that,
to
'cause
put together.
I read about it, and I read about
Well,
the.
if you would let me finish,
Sorry.
I'd tell you what I
Sorry,
found.
just a little nervous.
first of all, exteriors of buildings can be changed. If you look at the new community center that we're proposing to build a new building in 2019 that's not maintenance-free in the exterior. So I say to myself, why would we be doing that? Why would we be not having a maintenance-free exterior building that's not gonna cost us money in the future to take care of? I built a maintenance-free building right down the street here. So I have to say, how much time went into the planning for the community center? Freiburg spent a lot of time. It's taken them a long, long time to build that community. They did it all with fundraisers. They didn't use any taxpayer money. You are asking for, or the community's asking for 6.7 million to build the utility. Do you think we should take a little more time, just a little more time, and do it correctly? Do a little more planning. I don't believe, and I could be mistaken about this, but I don't believe any outside interests were involved other than the architect in designing this building. And I think we need a lot more planning. And I don't know why we couldn't take another year or another 6 months or whatever and do that.
Do you suppose that it could have taken that long because it took a lot of time to raise that kind of money in the community they've been living in? I mean, I've heard you describe the town and the community of Freiburg. $1.7 million doesn't just fall from the sky. It's got to come from somewhere, so perhaps it took them quite a while to do that. I also understand that it was built by volunteers and this and that, so I'm assuming that takes a lot of coordination as well. It's not even comparable what they've done as far as what we've proposed. And when you say an exterior that doesn't require any sort of maintenance, I mean, it looks like a Dollar General on steroids, is what it looks like to me. And I think we all here saw what the town did to make them bend to our needs. So I don't. What would your recommendation be to look further? And what is the building that you speak of that you bought that requires no maintenance outside?
I didn't design the current plan.
No,
I'm not a building designer.
You just built a building that requires little, like, so did you yourself build that? Is that what you're talking about, something you've already built?
That's correct. Right across the street from Bucky's, I have a 50 by 100 foot barn. The only thing that needs to be painted in that building is the electrical panel if it rusts.
So what is the exterior?
The exterior is vinyl, it's board and batten vinyl with shingles. It's a very attractive building, so I'm told. And I don't know, Tim, is it not? And I would just say, why would you design a building that isn't maintenance free at this point when you have all the materials that are available to build a maintenance free building? I can tell you why. We didn't take enough time doing it. That's
or
the answer.
Because it's more expensive, perhaps, I don't know. My husband is a builder, and we have that same sort of material on our house, and it's not inexpensive. It does cost money to purchase materials and use materials that don't require maintenance.
Mr. Shipp said he wanted to build a building that lasts 50 years. So if you're going to build a building that lasts 50 years, I'd suggest you build that out of maintenance-free material.
Which costs more money, I'm pretty sure.
But it maintenance costs money.
Right, but in order to have a maintenance-free facility, the materials needed to build it, I believe, cost more money than your typical building material.
Any other questions? Martin has had his hand up first.
Mr. Moderator, I'd just like to see if we could get back to questions and answers.
Yes.
Rather than debate.
Relate to that.
Can you do the mic?
Where are we going with this mic, Tim?
Who has questions? Can we just focus on the questions to the candidates, please?
Yeah, I would like to know if you would put your building in the center of town. Would it fit the character of downtown? Your maintenance-free building?
Are you talking my...
Your garage.
Yes, are you familiar
You
with
think
it?
it's attractive enough to be downtown in Moultonborough?
Yeah. I mean, not as a community center.
You think the town would be happy with seeing it there?
I can't really tell you. Everybody that I talk to seems to like it. And obviously you don't like it, so...
My other question for you
is,
is, when you started, you said you wanted to represent the people that voted no in the community center last time. That was 314 people. There's about 4,000 registered voters, so you're not looking to represent everybody.
They're the people that voted, and
Right, you're concerned about the vote. So if you want to be a good politician, you'll get elected maybe, but you're not looking at other people.
Okay, we're not questioning.
Question here.
One more question.
One more question, okay, that seems to be, hang on. Yes. Right
I
after.
have a yes or no question. I'm just wondering if both of you feel like we spend too much on our schools.
no. Too much on our schools? No,
So you're happy with the budget as is?
no.
Can you elaborate on that?
The easy answer is to tell you what you want to hear. I'm concerned about the rise in the school budget. We're gonna be back to $14 million this year. It'll be up almost $700,000 over last year. I don't know how to run a school system. I don't pretend to run a school system. I have 6 grandkids who are in a school system. I want every single child to have the best possible opportunity in life when they graduate from school or go to school. However, I think there has to be some balance, and I think we need to work a little bit harder to see if we can control costs. That would be my only message.
So Moultonborough is in a unique situation when it comes to schools, and people need to recognize that. We made a decision to be our own district. You know, we had opportunity, even in the time I've been here, to incorporate students from other places to have more people in the school system. We decided not to. So there's a lot of focus on our cost per pupil and everything else. Well, the bottom line is when you make a decision to have your own district, you're going to incorporate some extra expenses. So, I mean, we should always be careful when we're looking at any budget, but I've always said, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. And that's a fact, and I want our kids to have a great education.
This will be the last question?
No.
Yes, I just had a question for both candidates. I'd like to know your position on fundraising. I've noticed when other towns, other communities do projects like Moultonborough, they do the town hall, or Moultonborough for their library, or, you know, lots of places. And I think Freiburg was sort of an eye-opener for me, that all of it came from private funds. We don't do any of that yet. At town meeting, we've been told that there's a private fund they're going to raise private money for this gymnasium, for this community center. And I've heard that mentioned a couple of times, but it never happens. And so I was impressed with the Videographer up in Freiburg. Run all kinds of events during the year, fishing derby, golf tournaments, things like that. And also they asked Poland Springs, well, we have Castle in Cloud Water. They asked Poland Springs for donation, and apparently they're putting a big sign, I guess, on something on the floor, perhaps on the wall, for Poland Springs. Why don't we ever come up with, you know, some skin in the game, so to speak? Why do we never talk about fundraising in this town? Why can't our rec department and friends of the rec department refer to, you know, have continually said that they will raise money? I've heard that. So I'd like to ask you both your position on fundraising.
Well, I have no problem with fundraising, but I think the reality of it is most of the time fundraising is initiated by a private entity, not necessarily a municipality. Now, I don't know what the particulars are up in Freiburg, but my understanding is they were raising funds for 15 years. And I think, I don't know the particulars, I'm just from what I've heard. And I think fundraising works, but I think you have to do it over a long period of time. And I think fundraising should be used for extras, not necessarily the things that are the responsibility of a municipality, depending on what those things are.
We did fundraising for the track. And
Yeah,
the
we've
library.
done
And the library.
The long and the short of it is, they did fundraising because they had to. And we don't have to. We have the ability to go to the taxpayers, ask them for the money, and they decide. Unfortunately, we've run the community center up the flagpole for how many years? I'm not even sure how long it's been. And it hasn't happened. And I'm disappointed this time that we didn't do the two-phase approach. if we had done phase one first, everybody would look at it, they would love it, it would be beautiful, and you come back a couple of years later or a year later and say, okay, give us another $3 million, $2 million, whatever, if we needed you. And it would have been easier. All we did this time was aggravate the people who voted against it last time. And it lost by a majority vote, forgetting about the 2/3. And realistically, I don't see that it'll pass this time because it just seems to be too, and this isn't me speaking, this is the people I talk to because I'm around town all week long talking to a good portion of people, young people, old people, whatever, and I just don't think it'll happen. And it's unfortunate because we're going to be back to square one again.
One last question.
It's not really a question, it's more of a comment. I'm not against the community center. I'm in favor of doing something with this property and with this building. But I understand Mr. Shipp referred to people who are in favor of doing something to this building in public forum as dummies. I don't know Mr. Shipp, he doesn't know me. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's in favor of doing something with this building, so I guess we're all dummies.
So do you have a question?
No, I have a comment. Just remember the last political person.
Or better yet, do you have a proof?
Remember, yeah.
No, you don't.
It's on video.
Okay, we'll show that one.
But just remember the last politician who called people deplorables and what happened to him, to her.
Alrighty, so I think the consensus is that's going to be the last question. Alrighty, thank you all for coming out.